correctly, then you are able to create.
So if you have 5 to 10 minutes and you're one of the players that just keeps the ball in play and alive, and you want to start to have more power on your serve, win more service games, and focus more on the return game to win matches, this video here is for you guys. Alright, as always, if you like what we do, take a second to subscribe, turn the notifications button on, share the video with some friends, I would love that. And that's the best way to support Tennis House, and I think you're ready for that, guys. Alright, so how to serve faster. So there are a lot of things that are important in order to serve faster. So I'm starting as always, like I did with the forehand and backhand before, I start with the legs. So I know people tell me they're gonna say, hey, I can still serve fast out of the upper body. Yes, it's true, you can serve fast out of the upper body, but you cannot serve as fast as if you would use your legs. So that's it. And the other thing is, if you, let's say you're a 120-mile server with using the legs, and you serve 105 miles without the legs, or 110, whatever it is, if you're not using the legs, you're putting too much on your shoulders, on your upper body, and you're going to get injured at some point. There's no way around it. I don't know how much time, body weight or force, it's how much the bone gets out of the socket while you serve. The force is unbelievable on the serve. I don't know the exact numbers anymore, but as you know, for a baseball pitcher or for a server, the shoulder is the hardest thing to keep healthy. Why is that? I just want to talk about that 1 second. Guys, if everything we hit, forehands and serve, we use the muscle groups in front of us here. So it's 60-70% of the shots. We forget about the teres minor major, supra infraspinatus. We forget about the back muscles, guys, the decelerators. You need to have an equilibrium on the front, and then it has to be equally trained. So you can use the band and go up here. You can go down. You can go internal, external. All those elastic bands strengthen the back to be able to go out and serve every day. If you don't do that, you're going to get injured. So if you're a rec player, you're not warming up, and you try to hit balls hard, in 10 years from now, you're going to pay that with your body. So make sure, I'm going to make a video how to strengthen the back muscles as well in one of my next videos. Make sure you train the back muscles, otherwise you're going to have a big issue, big problem on the serve. So having that all said is what I want you. So too many players, when they serve, they try to serve fast and they swing, as I said, out of the upper body only. Not ideal, right? So I want to teach you how to use the legs correctly. So there are players, when you see they bend the knees, go up and double bend. There are certain variations. I've seen it all in 25 years. So I want to teach you now a simple way to toss the ball up, bend the right knees at the right moment, and serve. So first of all, you're going to start bending the knees after you toss. So when I go back, so I toss the ball now, and then knees. So many recreational players bend already, and then they try to serve. You lose all your power, all your energy, it's not going to work. So you need to make sure, I would do this at the beginning when you practice, go back, toss, bend, catch. And again, have your routine. That's the only time in the match you have 25 seconds where you are in charge of what's happening, you starting everything. So take your time on the serve and then practice going back, tossing and catching. And again, get into a rhythm, go back, toss, bend, wait. It is crucial to understand when to release and when to bend. So when you look at the pros, when they serve, when the ball is at the peak, that's when they are a millisecond in this position. It's ideal to not stop like here and wait, because you're going to wait too long and drop the racket head. It's all fluent. So if you can, you're going to go do your routine. You're going to go toss, load, and hit. And try to keep it fluent so you can not losing energy. If you store the energy too long, then you don't have power on the shot. There's a certain time frame you have to store and release the energy. And like I always say, the analogy with basketball, when you dunk and you wait here, you can't dunk anymore, you can't get up. So you go down and up. And then the angle of how far to go down cannot be too much. It has to be a perfect amount. So the first steps, as I said, you're going to go and practice the toss. And when it's there, you load, start to learn to hit. And there are going to be issues because you're going to be used to standing, bending, and hitting. A lot of players on a recreational level, if they didn't start as kids, they're not jumping up on the serve. So it's going to be hard to understand that when you toss the ball up and load, that you add the jumping element. And with you jumping, you're going to have a higher reach. So before the toss, let's say the toss was about 10 to 12 feet high, let's say 10 feet, then you have to toss higher now because you're adding the jumping. You're going to have a interference of the new thing and the old thing. So you're going to be, so make sure your toss is high enough. So when you go, toss the ball, keep the arms straight, first toss, then get bent and get the racket in the trophy position. All right, so that was the tip number 1, guys. That was using the whole body in order to create more power on the serve. The next thing is, obviously I didn't go today into the grip too much. I'm just going to tell you continental grip is going to be the easiest way to hit a kick, a slice, and a serve. If you have a forehand grip, you're only going to be able to do this. So on the long run, if you want to be successful, at least go to an Eastern grip, or where the knuckle is on bevel number 3, or you go to a continental grip ideally, so you can create all the different spins, right? Okay, so talking about the second point, which is being loose on the serve. So when you see guys serving, when you see guys serving like this, they're stiff as hell and they try to serve it. The power comes from the good rhythm and timing. So after you toss the ball up, be loose and hit it. Because if you lose, you have this whipping motion. And remember, having that said, a lot of players that do everything right, and they're here, a lot of players push the ball in this moment. Remember, the power comes from when you shoot up, that you let the racket fall a little bit in here to create power. So once you're in the trophy, it's not enough to push and hit. The arm goes down and you shoot up. That moment is crucial in order to create power. So you cannot be in the trophy and then just push the ball like this. You need to be up here and lower the racket tip pointing almost down, and then you go up. And remember, there are a lot of videos on the internet. Guys explain, there's different ways to explain it. Once you get up in this position, your arm is a little bit to the right ideally here, tiny bit, and that's what I said, getting down here, the racket edge goes in, elbow shoots out, forearm goes up, racket edge, the outside edge goes up, and last moment you pronate and you swing. Some people say players salute here, and other people will use the party hat to knock the party head off. If you have a party head that goes up here, practice serving going up here and up and creating the power here. I did some videos with that. Make sure that you understand that once you're in this position, there's no room to create power. And this position happens a lot because the players have too much time to be in this position here, and then they just drop the racket. So the toss height and the timing to get up have to be perfect. So there's no room for a long wait. That's long story short. That's going to help with that tremendously. All right, so being loose and using the racket as a whip. And then one thing you can do to work on that is have a sock and put balls in that sock, 3 balls, hold the sock at the end, and swing fast, decelerate, draw figure 8, swing fast, decelerate, draw figure 8. That's one thing. The other thing is you can be loose here and create the swoosh sound with the racket. Practice that a little bit. And the next thing is to be loose, which is crucial and very important and might not seem very interesting to a lot of people, is when you start serving, I love to just drop my wrist now and be in this position. This reminds me every time to be loose and have elasticity and then shoot out. This is one of the biggest tips I ever got in my tennis career. Is I start off, that's my routine. This is how my serve used to look like. 3 bounces, getting up here, dropping the wrist, being loose, going back, toss, load, and hit. So having that done is so important to create power. So guys, that will change your game, believe me. If you lose here and remind yourself on every serve, that's going to be a game changer. And I'm going to take you now to the side of the baseline so you can see, because I'm going to talk about the toss now. So let me get you now, and I still have you, which is great. The camera is still recording. So I want you to be right here with me, and I want you to look. What is one of the biggest, hardest thing for recreational player to do when they serve? It's to keep the toss exactly where it should be. The hardest thing is the toss, to keep it consistent for rec players. So if you want to hit the first serve fast, you need to make sure, my grip, it's like 100 Fahrenheit, it's going to slip, I'm not going to crush it now, but like, look where my contact is. My contact is way in front of me. And again, watch, way in front of me. A lot of recreational players hit the ball here. They go here and they try to hit it. That's not going to work, guys. The contact is so crucial. Practice your toss. I'm not going to get into the details how to toss perfectly today, but make sure, think about the toss as a placement, guys. You place the ball in front of you, and don't be shy. Toss it two feet in front of you. See what happens. Don't just toss it and catch it again. See what happens, actually how it feels to reach out and hit the ball. Too many players toss behind and hit. Why that doesn't work is simple. In order to get all the energy you got into the racket head right now, to transfer that, it's going to be in front of you, because the racket is coming with a lot of force right now. So you need to hit it here to snap and then release all the power into the ball. So now if you hit the ball here, you didn't have time to release all the energy you created from exploding. Remember, jumping up with the knees, being loose, having a call at the beginning, uncoil, go, and then hit the ball in front of you. So you're not going to release energy the 100% if you hit the ball here. It has to be in front of you. So when you toss from now on, it's going to be a challenge to the jumping part I told you earlier, but then the other thing is going to be a challenge to toss it out in the front, but you have to practice that. So you have to go on a loading, jump, and contact the ball in front of you. So the in front of you toss is so important. There's maybe one, 2 tips I'll give you quickly in how to get the toss where you need it. And that's like, think about your shoulder as the engine of the toss. So you cannot flick the wrist. The shoulder elevates the whole arm. So when I toss, the shoulder places the ball. So when you spread your fingers at the right moment here, and this is the energy, then you're going to have a good toss. The other thing what you can do is, if you start higher on this part here, and then drop the racket and then toss it, it's going to make it easier for the toss. A lot of recreational players that might not be so strong physically, they start here and try to toss the ball up. What you do is you're starting to use your arm and your whole body and the upper body. If you start higher and then drop the ball, you're going to have it easier. You're going to have a longer way of acceleration to get the ball up. That's another great tip. And the last thing is, if you're one of the people that can get the toss in front of you consistent, hold the ball a little bit more like this, like you have a glass, a full glass of water, and toss it like this. So those 3 things should help you to get the ball in the right place for the serve. So remember, it's not about muscle power. There are 3 ways for an easy toss. Is think about the shoulder as the engine, right? Think about you have a glass of water and hold the ball sideways. Why is that? Because if you hold the ball like this, you can flick your wrist. If you hold it sideways, you can't flick your wrist anymore. And the third thing is, make sure that you release in front of you, eye level, that you release the fingers. Because if you spread the fingers too early, the ball's going to go forward. If it's spreading too late, they're going to go back. So in order to have a faster serve, I'm going to recap, guys, is to be loose. Use the big muscles and make sure your contact point is in front of you. You keep all these three things straight and you practice that every day, there's a good chance that you're going to hit the ball faster. And as always, if you like what we do, take a second to subscribe. Every support is nice. Thank you guys for your time, and I hope everybody enjoys the days.